Joyful Blessings is a free meal in Colby. For more information on all of these events, make sure to visit our website, nwksradio.net.
Your home for Goodland High School athletics. 4A's Tech Northwest Tech Tiger basketball, the Denver Broncos, as well as the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer. You're listening to Goodland's Rocket 102.5 KKCI FM, Goodland, Colby, an NWKS radio station.
With SRN News, I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. President Trump today addressed American troops at an air base in Qatar. During his Mideast trip, he has held up Gulf nations like Qatar and Saudi Arabia as models for economic development in a region plagued by conflict. Boeing has secured 2 major orders of aircraft that were announced during the president's visit to the region. Violence flared in Gaza for the second night in a row. Israeli airstrikes killed more than 50 people. Russian President Vladimir Putin did not travel to Turkey today with a delegation from his country. Ukraine's leader had challenged Putin to meet with him face-to-face for negotiations to end the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. President Trump said he wasn't surprised that Putin was a no-show in Turkey. Dow futures are down 158. This is SRN News.
At Progressive, we understand the bond you have with your boat. It's why people name theirs.
I was pretty hungry and looking at a menu when I named my boat Change Your Tuna. The backup names were Trick or Trout, I Salmonly Swear, and, it gets worse, New Squid on the Block. It wasn't my best day.
Whatever you call your boat, protect it. And start with a quote from Progressive, America's #1 boat insurer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. #1 rating based on boat market share data from ratefilings.com.
You listen to this station because you trust it. Not the biased mainstream media, not big tech. So why are you still using Google? FreeSpoke is the AI-powered search engine built for people who care about truth, privacy, and protecting our families online. No data tracking or selling, no bias, just real results from all perspectives, left, right, and center. Ditch Google. Download the free FreeSpoke mobile app or head to freespoke.com. That's freespoke.com.
Here is the latest news and information that impacts you. I'm Derek White. A Topeka bank robbery suspect died Tuesday after a high-speed chase through multiple counties. Authorities say 47-year-old Anthony Marshall Jr. shot himself after crashing near Interstate 135 and Highway 4. The chase began in Marion County with Kansas Highway Patrol stop sticks disabling his vehicle in McPherson County. Marshall later died at Salina Regional, and the FBI and Topeka police are still investigating. Sheridan County has launched a new workforce recruitment incentive program offering up to $10,000 to help local businesses attract skilled workers. Funded by a $60,000 grant, the initiative targets key industries like healthcare, education, and agriculture. Eligible businesses can use the funds for relocation, bonuses, or housing support. Officials say it's a move to grow Sheridan County's economy and community. For more information on this and other stories, visit nwksradio.net.
Rocket 102.5.
Today will be windy, but not like what we saw yesterday evening with the blowing dust and high wind warning. Today they'll be a bit lighter at that northwest direction at 20 to 30 miles per hour as low pressure spins over the Dakotas. It'll be partly cloudy to mostly sunny. Highs will be in the mid-70s, lows 40 to 45. Tomorrow the winds will be a bit lighter, but breezy from the northwest at 15 to 25 miles per hour. It'll be mostly sunny and a nice day as highs remain in the mid-70s, lows 40 to 45. Saturday the winds will turn to the southeast, continuing to be breezy at 15 to 25 miles per hour. It'll be mostly sunny with slight ridging developing, and highs will stay pleasant in the mid-70s and lows will be warmer in the upper 40s. Sunday through Tuesday, rain chances are in the forecast, so be prepared. Sunday, Monday, highs will warm into the upper 70s to low 80s with gusty winds 20 to 40 miles per hour. Multiple troughs Sunday into Monday, and then Monday into Tuesday will bring this threat for severe weather. This is meteorologist Chris Schrumick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Wake up, sports fans. It's time to kickstart your day with the Morning Blitz and me, Ross Volkmer. Get the latest updates, in-depth analysis, and a few hot takes on everything from the preps to the pros. Whether you're driving to work or just getting your day started, I've got you covered with all the local sports talk you crave. So don't miss out. Tune in every weekday morning starting at 7 Mountain, 8 Central Time on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 to the Morning Blitz and join the conversation. Miss the show? No problem. Download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts.
Big savings are waiting at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get a 25 Chevy Silverado 1500 with 0.9% APR for 60 months plus $3,500 trade-in cash. Or choose a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 Turbo Max, 0.9% APR, or up to over $7,800 off if you own a GMC or Buick. And don't forget, military members get an extra $750 cash allowance. It's happening now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Spring is in full swing at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Get your lawn and garden looking their best with Ultimate Fertilizer and gear up with Ego blowers and mowers for the season ahead. Tackling a project, they've got a surplus of quality lumber ready for all your building needs. And when the work's done, fire up the fun with their wide selection of grills, smokers, and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Stop by Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring projects, big and small.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio is the place to turn to weekdays for the latest agriculture news and markets. Being a member of the National Association of Farm Broadcasters, we take pride in making sure you're informed of the latest news from the world of agriculture. Whether it's local, state, regional, or national, if it affects your farm or ranch, you can count on hearing it here. Daily reports from Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio are made possible by Farmers State Bank, Norder Supply of Scott City, Cornerstone Ag, and Woofter Construction and Irrigation.
We've heard every excuse for not wearing a seatbelt. I'm just going down the street, or I'm in the middle of nowhere. Maybe even I didn't wear them growing up and I forgot. And people who make this excuse die every year before they have to. Buckle up. It could save your life. A message from KDOT.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
The region's only local sports talk.
Dynamite drop-in at broadcast school has really paid off.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Touchdown, the Cowboys!
To the pros.
And Temby back on the track. It's out of here. Bobby Witt Jr. delivers a go-ahead grand slam.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work. And the pitch. And that one's hit deep to left. Going back to Langford. He's at the track. It's gone. Kyle Farmer with his first home run this year. A shot to left field with Doyle on base. That's a 2-run home run, and the Rockies back in this game. And the pitch.
Big night from 3, and he continues that way, lacing in a triple.
First pitch swinging. Vaulted high and deep to right. Abreu's back at the track. Abreu, Rafael is behind to make the catch. Are you kidding? Sets up Nurse, shoots. Save made by Hill. He does a snow angel in the blue paint. It's on the goal line. Score! It's over. The series is over. The Edmonton Oilers win it in overtime.
And good Thursday morning, everybody. We are back on the Morning Blitz, broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, as well as NWKSradio.net, and the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on X, Facebook, and YouTube. So glad you could join us here on this Thursday morning, just a few hours after a wonderful, and I sarcastically say that, wind/dust storm that blew through the area and unfortunately didn't bring any sort of precipitation, really just a whole lot of wind and a whole lot of dirt. Not a lot of fun. I was, I was thinking as I was driving into work today, I was thinking, I would describe that as kind of like a tree cleaning wind. One that, if you've got a tree that's got a few branches that, maybe aren't doing so good, it's going to shake the tree out to where the branches fall down. And then you have to, it kind of cleans out the tree a little bit. If you got any branches that aren't up to snuff. But then I kept driving down the road, and then there was this big tree that was completely split, down the center, and it's a goner now. And I'm like, well, maybe more than a tree cleaner, maybe a tree demiser. It took out a few trees. So hope everyone is safe here this morning, and is doing all right. Like I said, yesterday's wind and dirt, and it was funny because we get that alert, from like, hey, massive dust storm coming, and be prepared. I'm looking out the window like, really? It was calm, and there wasn't any wind. It looked pretty nice out. And I thought, okay. We got prepared, and got some things from the outside brought inside, and, lo and behold, a few minutes later, here comes the wind and here comes the dirt. So, they were on top of it this time for sure. But yeah, I thought yesterday, one of those tree cleaning winds, but it actually took out a few trees I saw on my way into work here in Goodland on this Thursday morning. Going to be a cooler day today. Temperatures going to be in the low to mid 70s. Should be a beautiful day for GWAC track, which is taking place here in Goodland. So we got ourselves a really nice day weather-wise with temperatures in the mid to low 70s. The only tough part will be we might have some more wind today. In fact, wind is going to be it looks like a consistent thing all spring and maybe through the summer. Because we got wind today, wind tomorrow, Saturday looking to be decent, wind on Sunday, then maybe Monday a little decent, possibly a chance of some precip on Tuesday of next week. We'll see, just looking at the outlook at the forecast ahead. So plenty of wind, I think, on the forecast, but nice temperatures, especially today and tomorrow, and even into Saturday. Temperatures going to be in the low to mid 70s and maybe even get into the low 80s. By this weekend. So anyway, the FB Bank text line is open at 785-899-2222 if you'd like to be part of the Morning Blitz with thoughts, comments, questions, opinions, whatever it may be. Hit us up there at the F&B Bank text line at 785-899-2222. The NFL schedule is out for the 2025 season, and our good buddy Nick Athen from Chiefs Blitz is going to stop by and help us break down that NFL schedule, get some thoughts, of course, on the Chiefs schedule and some of the big games that are going to be happening in the NFL. So we'll get to all that coming up here in segment 2. The PGA Championship is getting underway currently in Charlotte. We'll get some thoughts on that later on in the show. Mentioned it's a big day for track and field locally as we have the GWAC League track meet taking place here in Goodland. You have the Northwest Kansas League track meet taking place in Quinter, and the Western Kansas Liberty League track and field meet happening in Colby. I did not find, and maybe it's just because I can't find it anywhere, but Mid-Continent League track meet, where is that taking place? Maybe someone will hit us up on the F&B Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Where's the MCL track meet taking place? I'm guessing it's taking place today, but I did not see that in my schedule. So hit me up if you know where MCL track meet is taking place, or if it's already taken place. I apologize, but GWAC, Northwest Kansas League, WK, Western Kansas Liberty League track meets, all taking place today here in our northwest corner of the state. So anyway, big day in track and field. So yes, we'll get to all that stuff coming up here in today's program. Plenty of things to get to in the first segment. And as I always say, no better way to highlight it all than with the front page.
Read all about it. Read all about it.
The top stories of today.
I got the early edition, hot off the press.
It's the front page on the Morning Blitz.
Front page, really?
So we get into the front page here, and we'll start on the diamond with baseball. A tough night last night for both the Royals and the Rockies. Rockies falling 8-3 to the Rangers last night. Colorado gets down early. They're down 4-0 after the first inning. Antonio Senzatella gives up 4 runs. He gives up a 2-run bomb in the first. He walks in a run as well, and then another run on a grounded into a fielder's choice, I should say, a little bit later on in that inning. So anyway, the first First inning was rough. Colorado's in a huge hole. They can't dig out of it. They do get homers from Michael Tolia and Kyle Farmer, but that's it. Antonio Senzatella drops to 1-7, 4 2/3, 8 hits, 6 runs, all earned, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Rockies are 7-36. And if you want to go into some stats, our good friend from DNVR Sports covers the Rockies, Christian Saez. That now makes it with a 7-43 record. It is history for the Rockies. It is the worst 43 game start in the modern era of baseball. 7-36 is the worst start now ever in the modern era of baseball, and the worst record through 50 games, which, by the way, goes all the way back to 1904. For those who are curious, the worst start through 50 games in a Major League Baseball season is in 1904. That record was 9-41. It is so much. It is so in play. So in play. Because coming up here over the next, so they sit at 7-36, which once again is 43 games. So in the next 7 games, so they have an off day today to the Rockies. Then they go on the road to my Arizona Diamondbacks for 3 games. Tough series. Not saying they couldn't take one of them, but a tough series there. Then home starting Monday through Thursday of next week. And they take on the Philadelphia Phillies, which are a really good team as well. And then after that, the New York Yankees. And then the Chicago Cubs. Look, that's past 50 games. But my point is, over the next 7 games, they've got Arizona and Philadelphia. Not easy. The record of setting a new record of what could be 8-42, 8-42 is very much in play, or maybe even, who knows, 7-43. It is all in play for the Colorado Rockies right now. The worst start in the modern era for 50 games is very much in play. Like I said, I've said this before, I'm going to say it all summer long, more than likely, unless they just go on this massive heater and kind of get themselves out of the spot. The all-time record for losses in a season is going to be in play. It is going to be in play all season. So just got to buckle up and be prepared. But 8-3 last night, a loss for the Colorado Rockies, dropping to 7-36. And once again, the worst start in the modern era in Major League Baseball at 7-36. Royals dropped another game last night, this time to another one to the Astros, 4-3. Kansas City had a chance in this game. They were up 3-1 after a double by Michael Garcia. Drove in Vinny Pasquantino. They were up 3-1 in the 5th. But the bullpen and Michael Lorenzen, honestly, if you want to give him most of the credit, he kind of faded down the stretch. Tell you, I don't know if it's the Royals as of late here. I mean, the Royals have gotten unbelievable starting pitching. This is nothing against Lorenzen or Waka or anybody else. Bubich, Reagans. They've been amazing. Starting pitching has been amazing for the Royals and has been all season, and they have ridden those arms as I feel like they're almost riding them sometimes just a little bit too far, just like last night. Probably should have gone to the bullpen a little bit earlier, but they didn't. And Lorenzen got tagged for what was a total of 3 runs through the 6th and the 7th, and the Royals end up losing 4-3. Now, once again, you can't really blame the Royals. That starting pitching is probably, if not the best, one of the best in the country, in Major League Baseball, how good they've pitched and started. And the bullpen, I think, has been pretty good, too, so I'm surprised they just haven't done it. But at the same time, the Royals, once again, need to find a way to score a little bit more runs. I mean, their pitching staff has done a great job all season long of keeping the opposition at bay. They got to find a way to score some more runs. So after that hot streak here, and rattling off, 7 wins in a row with, taking series from the Orioles and sweeping the White Sox. And then they go and they have lost now 4 of their last 5 and have dropped their previous 2 series with losing 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox and 2 out of 3 to the Astros, have the Royals. Royals, by the way, open up a series at home against the Cardinals starting tomorrow. So they have an off day as well. So no baseball tonight, no Royals, no Rockies. Like I said, that they are off tonight. So series will resume on Friday for both those teams. It really got me thinking, though. I was looking at the standings of Major League Baseball. We might have to discuss this at a later date. But it was just a quick thought I was looking at. I was thinking, man, you look at baseball and tell you that, and you think about how good the Royals were for so long. they were so good. Winning all those games, winning all those series, playing great baseball. They're still 4.5 games back after these couple of mishaps, 25-5. I mean, the Tigers had a walk-off win last night over the Red Sox, who, by the way, got an amazing two-man catch in the outfield. Everybody saw that. It was a home run that was robbed. The guy went up there and kind of tipped it out with his glove, and his buddy, the center fielder, came over and made the catch right there on the warning track. That was a two-man home run robbery by the Red Sox last night there in Detroit. But Detroit would win in walk-off fashion. 29-15 are the Detroit Tigers. The Cleveland Guardians are 25-18. We all know the Royals have been good at 25-20, and the Minnesota Twins are 23-20 at this point in time. So you got 4 teams with winning records. I mean, you honestly go up and down, the American League, and you go up and down, honestly, the standings. It's amazing how many teams have winning. You have the Central and the West all have got, so you've got 4 teams in the Central and 4 teams in the West in the American League with winning records. The Tigers, Guardians, Twins, Royals, Mariners, Astros, Rangers, Athletics all have winning records. You go into the National League, Mets, Phillies, Mets and Phillies with pretty convincing winning records. Cubs and Cardinals with convincing winning records. And then you get to the NL West, and you've got the Dodgers, of course. But then you got the Padres and the Giants and the Diamondbacks. All those teams there have winning records. So my question is, to an extent, we'll have to ask this question later, but who is the better division? Is it the AL Central or the NL West? Because my goodness, you talk about 2 divisions that are just playing unbelievable baseball collectively. I mean, you've got a 23-21 Diamondback team that's 5.5 games back of the Dodgers. That's really, really good. And you look at the same thing. You've got a Royals team that's 4.5 games back of the Tigers in the 3 spot in the Central, and they're really, really good. So I don't know. It's amazing to see this. And you look at the wild card races right now going on, and it'll thin out as the season goes on. But man, there's still a lot of teams very much in contention, particularly in the American League. There's a lot of teams within 3.5 games, which is easily attainable or to pick up slack with a sweep of a series. So anyway, interesting discussion. Let's get to maybe later on at another day. I know our listener Michael is very fired up. He made the prediction that his Boston Celtics would rattle off 3 consecutive wins. Well, they solved one part of a 3-part problem last night as they stay alive with a win over the New York Knicks. How do I want to say? It was a pretty dominant performance. They got a great performance there from Derek White, who I could be wrong. I believe he is a former Colorado Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. I think he is. I think he's a former Colorado Buffalo is Derek White. But they got a great performance out of him. Him and Jaylen Brown combined for what was a thank you, Jared. Appreciate it. I think he's a Colorado Buffalo. I thought he was. So that is confirmation. Thank you, listeners. But great performance from Derek White and Jaylen Brown. They go out there and combine for 60 points in that win. They got an unbelievable performance from what was that young man? Luke Cornett off the bench. 10 points, 9 rebounds, 7 blocks. Just a nutty performance from a guy that no one's really ever heard about coming off the bench there to help the Celtics win 127-102 versus the Knicks. Look, I always struggle in these scenarios. You've got if you're the Knicks, you got a 3-1 lead. You've worked hard to get this 3-1 lead. You're on the road against the team that's backs are against the wall. I'm using this as a scenario. I think this happened before, but how many times you just kind of like, they're going to give it their all. Their backs are against the wall. Let's just go out here. Maybe we're hot. Maybe we're not. If we're not, let's not push it. We still get to go back home for game 6 coming up here in a day or two. So let's not try and overdo it. And if the chips fall in our favor, we'll take the win. But if not, we're not worried. We'll go back home. We're going to have our home court advantage in front of a rock in Madison Square Garden, and we're going to feel better. I mean, I wonder how many times that actually happens, if that is actually a thought in a locker room at times. I mean, you go in there saying, well, we want to win this game, obviously, but you kind of get going in the game, and yeah, you are you're right around, they're pretty close at halftime. But then in the third quarter, all of a sudden Boston gets a big third quarter, and they pull it. You're kind of like, maybe it's not going to be our night. That's all right. That's okay. Let's take our foot off the gas. We'll coast to the finish line here, and we'll go home and seal it in Game 6. I just wonder if that I'm wondering if that's something that happens sometimes. I feel like it does. My gut tells me that I feel like it does happen from time to time. But Celtics stay alive, 127-102 with a win over the Knicks. And by the way, also a advancement into the Western Conference Finals for Minnesota as they get the victory last night over the Golden State Warriors, 121-110, the final score. T-Wolves get great performances from Julius Randle, old man Julius Randle with 29 points last night. Anthony Edwards has a double-double of 22 and 12, and they keep, without Steph Curry, the Warriors just really are not the same team. And so Minnesota advancing into the Western Conference Finals with a 4-1 series win over the Golden State Warriors. And second straight year that Minnesota has been there. They'd only been there once in their franchise's history prior to these last 2 years, and now they've gone back-to-back years. Great job by that front office and that group of players to get to the point to where they are right now. And they await the winner of tonight's big Game 6 here in Denver as the Nuggets host the Thunder. And we will see if the Nuggets can find a way to send this into 7 games. I don't know. They need, I'll tell you one thing they need more performances out of other guys not named Jokic and Murray. They need more out of those guys. They need more from Christian Brown. They need way more from Michael Porter Jr. They need a ton more from other people. Russell Westbrook, they need a lot more from those guys than what they've got in these games that they've lost. They got to get those guys going in some sort of fashion to go along with what Jokic and Murray have done most of this series. So we'll see. That's a tip-off tonight at 6:30 Mountain Time on ESPN if you want to watch the Nuggets and the Thunder tonight. So that is Game 6. And like I said, the NFL schedule was released last night. Coming out with full, there are some big-time games, some big-time matchups. I think we kind of got teased with some big ones. We know the Chiefs they've got a couple of the big holidays. The Chiefs are playing on Thanksgiving. The Chiefs are also playing on Christmas Day against the Broncos. Those are some of the big games that we learned from the NFL schedule. And they also, of course, have this Week 2 rematch of the Super Bowl last year against the Eagles. So there's some pretty big games coming up in the NFL schedule, as they always are. But we will discuss those more in depth as we step aside for our first break with our good friend Nick Athen, who will join us after the timeout and discuss the NFL schedule and what to expect with that schedule and get his thoughts on that all next. So talking NFL schedule next here on the Morning Blitz.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson's Trade Group. Today is Thursday, May 15th. On the overnights last night, July corn higher 3 1/4 at 4.48 3/4. September up 3/4 cents at 4.28. December up a half cent at 4.41. March corn up a cent at 4.56 1/4. July soybeans down 14 3/4 on the overnights at 10.63. August down 15 at 10.59 1/2. September down 15 1/4 at 10.40 1/2. November down 14 1/4 at 10.47. Chicago wheat July contract higher 5 1/2 at 5.30 1/4. September up 5 1/2 at 5.44 1/2. December up 5 3/4 at 5.66 1/2. March soft wheat up 5 3/4 at 5.85 3/4. Kansas City wheat, the July contract higher 5 1/4 at 5.28 1/4. September up 5 1/2 at 5.42 1/2. December up 5 1/4 at 5.64 1/2. March hard wheat up 5 1/4 at 5.84 1/2. On the stock market this morning, the Dow down $141 at 41,982. The S&P down 21, 5,887. Gold higher $3 an ounce at 3,191. Crude oil up $1.74 at $61.41 a barrel. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Fluis, Jared Law, Tyler Dish at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Today, we're talking with Zach Ogles, agronomy manager from Tessenderlo Curley. Zach, how can Thiosol and KTS improve output?
When they apply a product like one of our thiosulfates, they're not only going to be receiving sulfur benefit, they're going to be protecting the nitrogen that they're applying along with it. We can help the grower reduce losses through nitrate leaching. We're helping to protect the groundwater, improving the well water quality, while keeping most of that nitrogen available to the plant.
Ask your local ag retailer for Thiosol and KTS.
Imagine having more days of perfect weather, a combine that's more powerful, or even more soybean bushels per acre at harvest. With Revitec fungicide, you don't have to imagine that last one, because it's proven to deliver up to 9.5 more soybean bushels per acre than the competition. With results like that, it's easy to see why Revitec fungicide is the #1 recommended fungicide by soybean farmers. Visit Revitec.com and talk to your BASF retailer today. Always read and follow label directions.
Ross Volkmer.
I love them. I think it's a real winner.
It's the Morning Blitz.
Update real quickly from the PGA Championship there at Quail Hollow. Ryan Fox, the Australian, leading currently right now at 3 under par through 8 holes. Luke Donald sitting there in a, a 6-way tie for second. Tommy Fleetwood, Fairway Jesus is better known. Matt Fitzpatrick also there as well, hanging out in the second spot at this point in time. So. All right, a busy day yesterday, a very busy day in the NFL. There's no better entity in the world at keeping themselves in the news than the NFL, and they do it yesterday with, of course, the wonderful schedule release. And we're pleased to be joined by our good friend from Chiefs Blitz, Nick Athen, joins us now on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. I'm telling you, Nick, I don't know any other entity that does it better than the NFL, my friend. They know how to keep it all together, don't they?
They certainly do. And it was a very interesting day yesterday because the schedule leaks that came out were about, I would say, close to 100% accurate.
Right. Yep.
For whatever reason, I don't know if, reporters called hotels in other cities to see if rooms were booked for teams or whatever they ultimately decided to figure out. But, we did a really good job. I'm proud of my staff. They were on top of it. But yeah, listen, it's the greatest. I think it's on par with the NFL draft just because of the excitement that leads. Then you got the analysis and the over analysis, for the next 4.5 months. We're going to be talking 3.5 months. We're going to be talking about the schedule and how it all breaks down. And I think if you're a Chiefs fan, I think you look at the schedule and go, wow, 7 primetime games, which is tops in the NFL. That doesn't count the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. It doesn't count any potential flex games. It's just 9 home games. Pretty reasonable road schedule, and they only have maybe 1 or 2 difficult games, maybe at Denver and at the Cowboys and Bills, so 3. And I think you have to be pleased, but yeah, the NFL is just, nobody does it like them. And it's just impressive that they have a 365-day news cycle and fans are paying the price for it. Because if you don't have streaming services, this schedule, you're a little screwed.
We're going to get into that here later on. That's a topic for the end of our discussion here.
Right.
But first and foremost, who had the best the video, the social media video? Were there any that stood out to you? Adam Schefter's vote, I think, was for the Titans.
Yeah.
With that, I love the Chiefs with the cash cab. That was great. I enjoyed that. Were there any other ones that stood out to you?
I love the cash cab. I mean, I was obsessed with that show, and the fact that that guy is still around, I thought that was the most creative. And it wasn't short. It was a good 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. So it had entertainment value. It had, a lot of really good. I thought the questions were great. There was, I think the Titans was good too. The Chargers always do crazy stuff. But I really, really thought for the Chiefs, now I'm looking at this from a perspective of, man, that was really super creative. That was a terrific idea. Whoever got that idea, just was brilliant. The fact they got him to come in Kansas City to do it, even better. So obviously they knew what the schedule release was a couple of days ago. But I loved it. I watched it probably 4 or 5 times last night, just thinking, this is from the Chiefs? This is really great stuff.
They got someone who can think like this? That's amazing.
I'm impressed.
I was going to say, the Titans, I remember that one a few years ago where they went around to people on Broadway Street and say, what team is this? And they were naming off all the wrong.
That was hilarious.
That's probably one of the top ones ever made. And so the Titans to kind of have another one that was pretty darn good. It was, based upon the Sky Rizzy commercial, which is pretty funny. So
yeah, no, it was good stuff.
I mean, they can't win football games, but they can win the offseason.
Hey, the team sucks. And Cam Ward will make a difference, but I don't think he's going to make that much of a difference this year.
Well, anyway, Nick Athen, our guest here, joining us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream, talking the NFL schedule. Like you mentioned, the Chiefs have got tons of primetime games.
Yep.
And so all the eyeballs are going to be on them. I mean, it's amazing to think about how far this franchise has come in, and not really that long of a time, maybe in the last decade from, being a team that was kind of like, for an example, not to be mean, but not on the same level, but kind of like the Titans to an extent that maybe wasn't in demand, to now being the team in demand, like you said, that could have close to maybe double-digit primetime events, or, where people are just continuing to watch them the whole entire game.
Yeah, and the schedule does, the primetime slots don't count the, week 2 where, it's going to be the Fox game of the week, which means it's probably the only Fox game that evening or that afternoon. The CBS games, Buffalo, so the Chiefs, they're going to be approaching 10 or 11 games where they're going to be the kind of exclusive team that's in that time slot. And you're right. I mean, we talked about this last night on our podcast, and it's like, I'm old enough, me, my history. I was there in the 50-year drought. I lived every second of it, good or bad or indifferent, and it was frustrating. And the Chiefs have become the team that, we all wanted them to be, and that we struggled because we watched the 49ers and we watched the Steelers history and we watched the Cowboys run and you watched the Patriots run. And now the Chiefs are in that. And, listen, the NFL knows where the money is, and that money is in the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm telling you right now, Ross, and I'll put this bet down. I think the Chiefs and the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving will approach 50 million people. I think it'll be the top rated regular season game of all time. You're talking about the two teams that have the most primetime games. The Chiefs with 7, the Cowboys with 6. But to think where we are now and how unbelievable this is, and how much I tell all my friends and all the people who follow us, enjoy today because tomorrow you just never know. And right now the Chiefs are the it team. They're hot. They make a lot of money for the league. And, as fans, this is just an unprecedented time, Ross, as you know, to be a Chiefs fan. And I'm loving every single minute of it.
It is high tide, as I like to call it. It is high tide for the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, looking at the schedule here, we all know that the division, of course, is going to be a challenge with the Chargers and, of course, with the Broncos getting better. And the Raiders, you got to think, will take a step, maybe not this year, but in the coming years with Pete Carroll getting a little bit better as well. But outside of the division, what do you think of this schedule?
Well, I mean, I think it's if you love going against the best of the best in the NFL and you got tickets to Arrowhead this year, I mean, seriously, just looking at it, you got the Eagles in week 2. You got the Ravens at home. You got the Lions, the Commanders at home. You got the Texans at home. And then, of course, in the division, I mean, where do you go wrong here? There's a layup game with the Colts, in before the Christmas, the Thanksgiving weekend before they head out to the Dallas a few days later. And you got at the Titans at the end of the year. The Chiefs' end of the year schedule is pretty good. They get the Texans, Chargers at home, Titans on the road, Broncos at home, and then they finish the season at the Raiders. But I mean, for home games, you can't beat this schedule. I think it's incredible. All good games, a lot of primetime games in there. If not, they're going to be the featured game of the week. I love the fact they're not playing overseas this year. That means they got 9 home games versus the 8 they had last year, because they rotate every year until they get to this 18-game schedule, which is virtually inevitable at this point. They're going to alternate the 8 and the 7. So the Chiefs probably play overseas next year and give up a home game. So they may only have 7 home games next year. So if you're a fan and you want to go against the best, and if you want to have a redemption year, you're going to face all teams that you have recent history of who have either thumped you, who you've lost to, or is going to be a battle.
Well, they're not going overseas, but they are going to a different continent.
Well, that's true. I mean, they're not giving up a home game to do it. That's my point.
If you had your choice of if you had a chance, Nick, we're going to fly you, you're going to get to go. You get to go to Brazil to watch the Chiefs or go to across the pond. What would you take?
I have no desire to go to Brazil, just so it's hot and humid enough in the Midwest. The last thing I want to do is be sweating by the time I just walk out of my hotel room. No thanks. I would love to go to London or Germany. My son is stationed in Germany, so that would be my top choice. There is a game in Germany next year. I'm assuming the Chiefs are going to be part of that since that's their territory. But yeah, Germany or London. Yeah, or England. That would be the 2 places I'd like to go.
Once again, Nick Athen is our guest joining us on the Earl Chevrolet GMC video stream, talking about the schedule release that all went down yesterday for the NFL. Yeah, this schedule it's unreal. Like you said, if you're a season ticket holder, this was the golden ticket year. I mean, to get all the great games. I mean, the only game that was really, really good that you didn't really get at home were the really Dallas and Buffalo. Other than that, every other great games at home. With that being said, a lot of these games, there's primetime games and there's, of course, a lot of holiday games. I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you don't get to celebrate the holidays on the holiday anymore when you're in this position.
No, I think Halloween is the only holiday that they are going to they're going to be able to celebrate this year with their families. Chris, they're for the Dallas game, they're going to be leaving Wednesday, so they'll have a turkey dinner meal probably early morning before they leave. Christmas Day, at least they're going to be in Kansas City so they can open presents with their family. And so again, this is just the price of the success, and Chiefs fans aren't going to care. And I think, as a fan, and that's what we are at the core of all this, and that's why we talk about these teams so much. This is the most exciting schedule I think I can remember in recent memory, as far as, the quality of games at home, the road schedule being not that difficult. I mean, last year the Chiefs had a brutal road schedule. It's not so bad this year. So, just enjoy the process, and every single week, for the most part in the schedule, the Chiefs are going to be playing pretty good teams. They've got maybe 3 layups on this schedule, and that's about it.
Yeah, and that's the question I guess would have next. I mean, yes, they have a lot of the hard games at home, but this is still a challenging slate.
Oh, yeah.
And what could that mean for the final win total when it's all said and done?
Yeah, getting to 15-2 this year with this schedule is not going to be something that I'm going to predict. I just don't think it's possible. I think the division is better. I think the Broncos have the best defense in the division, and a lot of Chiefs fans have already given me a lot of slack for that. But on paper, and it's all on paper until the bullets start flying for real in September. But, the Broncos have the right coach. They got the right young quarterback. They've kind of buried their past with the Russell Wilson era. It's over. And they've turned the page, and they've built an outstanding defense. The Chargers, I think, will be better if Jim Harbaugh can get Justin Herbert to learn how to win and how to manage games a little bit better. I think the Raiders will be better under Pete Carroll. But like you said earlier, they're a year or two away from completely overhauling the mentality of that program. But for the Chiefs, again, this is tough. I think 13 wins are probably a strong bet. Maybe 14 if the ball bounces properly and they don't have a lot of injuries and the offensive line comes together. But yeah, I would say 13-4. I think that's enough to win the AFC West. I'm pretty confident about that. But I'm not sure that's going to be enough to win the top seed.
Of other games outside of the Chiefs, or other ones that caught your eye, and you're like, "Wow, that's an entertaining game." Like I'll be tuning in to watch that. Were there any other ones that stood out to you? I mean, Week 1, Ravens at Bills is a big one there. Obviously, were there any other ones that caught your eye?
You know what caught my eye the most was the slate of games on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's a good one.
For the first time that I can remember, you got the what is it? The Commanders at the Lions.
Yes.
A week in the early game. You've got the Chiefs and the Cowboys, and you got the Bengals at the Ravens. So finally, not only are they 3 great games, but they got 3 AFC teams and 3 NFC teams in there, which I think is important because I think it's always been so stacked in NFC games. But to me, I thought the league finally got it right. I am not a proponent of having the Lions and the Cowboys hosting, every Thanksgiving. I think it should be moved around, and they did the 3rd game to try to involve on a rotating basis. And I'm really excited for that day. I think that's finally one of the first Thanksgivings. I think you look at some of the other schedules, like the Broncos schedule. They've got a tough start, even though they play a couple of patsies to open the season. Their game, they got the Bengals at home, which on a Sunday night, which I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be a real big gauge of where this team is. And I know you got a lot of Broncos fans in your area, and I want to show respect. Like the Chiefs, they've got a stretch of 3 straight games at home. And I think they have a stretch of 5 out of 6 at home toward the middle of the schedule, which is always a plus because playing in Denver is not an easy task. The fans are great. The stadium atmosphere is great. The team is much better. You got to feel good if you're a Broncos fan. So the Chiefs and the Broncos, to me, are the top teams in the division, and I think they're in the top 5 in the AFC. If you look at their potential on paper, to make sure. But the Thanksgiving, of all the viewing I did and looking over the schedule, I was just really impressed with the Thanksgiving Day matchups.
I would agree. That Thanksgiving deal is great. And yes, everything is on paper. Even the Chiefs are on paper.
Yeah,
so
no question.
It doesn't matter. It's all about this stuff. So I have a quick question on actually I want to get to your point about the streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to have all the streaming now in the NFL, and Major League Baseball is looking into doing this now, where they want to go to just direct to streaming service for all their stuff as well too. What are your takes on all this? Where do you sit? Because I would assume that a lot of fans they're going to do it because they want to watch the games, but they don't like it. I mean, this pretty much takes away from flipping back and forth. I know, visiting with my mom who loves to watch the games. Right. She hates the fact that she can't watch the Thursday night football game and whatever else it might be on and can't go back and forth because you have to close out the app and go to the other one. So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, it's inevitable. I mean, listen, the NFL is a cash cow. We all know that. If Roger Goodell can make more money for the owners, he's going to find a way to do it. And what he's learned is the streaming services like Netflix and Peacock, they'll pay extra money for a particular game on a particular day. Netflix last year, look what they did on Christmas Day. They did that disastrous live broadcast of that fight, and they had all sorts of problems. And they put a slick package together last Christmas in the 2 games that they did back to back. So I thought that was impressive, and the Chiefs were part of that. And for the NFL, whatever it takes to make money. And now I'm not a fan. I think I added it up. If you get all the streaming services plus Sunday Ticket, you're looking at about $900 to $1,100, depending on, what discounts you get and what packaging you get. And that's a lot of money. And ultimately, I think what's going to happen, because Roger Goodell and the owners have already kind of let the networks know that, we're going to 18 games. So that's another sale that they can make. Plus the fact that they're going to renegotiate all those TV contracts. So what CBS, NBC, and Fox have to do is they have to protect as much of it as possible. However, if they don't pay an increase, they're not going to be that broadcast partner. So, ABC and ESPN are tied together. So the other two affiliates, who all have streaming services, they have to look at, okay, what are we willing to pay? And with 18 games and an extra game, they're going to pay a lot more. So will we have, I think the next question is going to be, will the Super Bowl ever be streamed? I don't think that's going to happen, but we've already seen one playoff game, maybe now it'll be two that are going to be streaming only. And they're going to take the best teams so they can get the best they can get the best bang for their dollar, and they can get people to sign up. So the inevitability is, I think, that you're going to see more streaming games, but I also think you're going to see an increase in the fees and the money that the networks are going to charge. As far as your comment about baseball, that's a sport I would do it. The Royals broadcast on FanDuel, we didn't get to watch the Royals last year at all where we were at. It's $19 or $80 a year. And I think baseball can do that because they have so many games and there isn't enough of a national broadcast. They have the Fox game on Saturday and they have a couple of games on FS1. Apple TV has a couple, and I think Apple TV does the best production of any baseball show.
They're good. They're
out
good.
there.
Yes.
They should be completely in charge. They should get an exclusive for Apple TV and just let them produce their games because nobody does it better.
No, Apple TV is fantastic. I would agree on that. I know it's inevitable, but that doesn't mean that we have to like it. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, no, you can't go back and forth between the CBS and the Fox game, or you can't go back between the Thursday night football game, and I think about back in 20 years ago when Thursday night football was kind of a college night deal.
Yeah,
and they were big games. You'd like to go back and flip back forth between the college game and the pro game. You really just can't do that anymore. You just can't.
No, you can, and if high school football wasn't such a staple on Friday nights, the NFL would be playing on Friday nights.
Yeah.
That's I give them, they don't care about college football anymore. Even though that's the gravy train to get those athletes into the NFL, they don't care anymore. You look at the triple header on Saturday is right when the playoffs are for college football next year. So it's on the same day, just like it was last year. They don't care anymore. And, as consumers and as fans, like my wife goes, well, why do we need this streaming service? And why do we need that one? And I'm like, my job requires that I have to have these,
It's like a conversation I've had before.
Yeah. I mean, there are things you can do to offset the costs, and maybe you do the commercial stuff and you don't pay for the premium of no commercials. You can save a few bucks. But if you're an NFL fan, this is the way it is going forward. It's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. These prices are going up. ESPN is raising their rates like almost triple.
Well, that's the problem is that if you're a sports fan, period. If you're a sports fan, you're going to pay more than just someone who wants to watch, HGTV or DIY or whatever it might, the home shopping network. You're going to
just do a super bundle. Just take all the streaming services and charge one fee and give people access. And I know somebody proposed this about 2 years ago where they were going to do that. That's what I would do. I would take all the streaming services and do one fee, get them all to work together, take their share, and just make it easy for a super streaming channel to where you can organize all of it in one screen, one viewing.
Yeah, put it all in one app. Yeah, that would
absolutely.
be great. I would agree. I would agree on that 100%. I mean, that honestly is what YouTube TV does, but they don't have access to Prime.
No, they don't. But at least, hey, props to YouTube TV. For those like to watch 4 games, on the screen like me, you now will be able to customize that.
That's right.
To watch the games you want. Assuming outside of the blackouts in certain markets, which I think is brilliant. They should have done it at the onset, but they just couldn't. They couldn't get it done. But now they will. So props to them.
No, I would agree. It's going to be a very interesting time going forward when it comes to streaming sports for sure. He is Nick Athen of Chief Splits. Nick, it's always great to catch up, my friend. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right, Ross. Appreciate it.
Once again, great stuff there from Nick Athen here on the Morning Blitz. We'll take a time out, come back and wrap things up with our final segment next here on the Morning Blitz.
Big savings are waiting at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get a 25 Chevy Silverado 1500 with 0.9% APR for 60 months plus $3,500 trade-in cash. Or choose a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 Turbo Max, 0.9% APR or up to over $7,800 off if you own a GMC or Buick. And don't forget, military members get an extra $750 cash allowance. It's happening now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Farmers State Bank of Oakley proudly congratulates the class of 2025. Your dedication and achievements have brought you to this moment, and we wish you all the best in your next chapter. Whatever your next step, remember, we're here to help with all of your financial needs along the way. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
Spring is in full swing at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Get your lawn and garden looking their best with Ultimate Fertilizer and gear up with Eco blowers and mowers for the season ahead. Tackling a project, they've got a surplus of quality lumber ready for all your building needs. And when the work's done, fire up the fun with their wide selection of grills, smokers, and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Stop by Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring projects, big and small.
At FNB Bank, we understand the backbone of our community is our local farmers and ranchers. Whether you're growing crops, raising livestock, or investing in new equipment, we're here to help you succeed. Our agricultural loans are tailored to meet the unique needs of your farm, with flexible terms from people who understand what it takes to make it in agriculture. When you partner with FNB Bank, you're working with neighbors who know the land and are invested in your success. FNB Bank, rooted in our community, growing with you. Member FDIC.
Want to be part of the Morning Blitz?
Sometime I'll give you a piece of my mind, like right now.
Send your thoughts to the FNB Bank text line at 785-899-2222.
Thanks again to Nick Athen for joining the show. Always great to have him on and visit. But yeah, the biggest takeaway, the schedules are fine, all that stuff, but it's a schedule, and you don't know what your team has or what the opposition has. It's all on paper, as we said during that conversation. But the one thing that does stand out to me about that whole conversation was the part about the streaming. I mean, it is, if you're a sports fan, like a lot of us are, that tune in to listen to this show and be a part of the show, and we appreciate you doing that, it's going to get expensive to watch sports, because if you want to watch the Chiefs, they're going to be on three separate, they're going to be on, ABC, or sorry, on ABC. They're going to be on Fox. They're going to be on, ESPN. They're going to be on, whether it be streaming on Prime or Netflix. That's the way it's going to be. And honestly, the thing that's, and they've been slowly working towards this for a long, long time. They've been working towards making sure that they're going to get you hooked. It's one Chiefs playoff game against the Dolphins in that freezing cold deal a couple years ago. Gets people hooked in there. If they want to watch the game, they have to subscribe to these streaming services, and they get them hooked in there, and that's how they do it. If you want to watch, another example, if you wanted to watch, Big 12, if you want to watch some Big 12 football, you got to have ESPN Plus. If you want to watch some Big 10 sports now, you have to download and have Peacock to watch some of that. It's just the way it's going. And unfortunately, they're going to get you in every single area. It used to be where the TV networks would, the TV, like YouTube TV, for example, would take all these channels and buy them up and then offer them as a package. Well, now you have to buy all the separate, you're almost doing it. You're doing it a la carte. You're buying which ones you want. The problem is you need all of them to watch the games. That's the sad part. You got to have all of them. It's not like the NFL is just going to be all in one app, and the MLB would be all in one app, and college football is all in one app. No, it's all over the place. And it's very, very difficult and expensive. That's the thing. And they've got your hands tied, especially if you're a sports fan, you want to watch that stuff. They have got your hands tied. I mentioned before we get to the walk-off, big day of league track and field today. You've got the GWAC track meet going on here in Goodland today. Then you've got Northwest Kansas League track and field happening at Quinter, and Western Kansas Liberty League track and field meet going on at Colby today. And I did not get a response on Mid-Continent League track, so I don't know. But best of luck to all the track and field athletes today. Busy, busy day with league titles on the line. All right, so let's get to, yes, we have to get to the walk-off. We are up against the clock.
And back lifts his ball high, deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
I love the texter chiming in from the 308. 308, Western Nebraska. It says, that's why I love watching, that's why I like listening to the radio. Yes. the radio for you is nice and free, isn't it? So that's why I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll try to keep you updated as best we can. We'll make the sacrifice. Update from the PGA Championship as they continue to roll along here. Round 1 in progress from for the Quail Hollow Club there in Charlotte, North Carolina. Right now, multiple people. I think it's 7 to 8 deep, tied at the top at 3 under par. Some of the guys include Keegan Bradley, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Luke Donald, Ryan Fox. I do know that Brooks Koepka's out there. He's even through 8. Jason Day is in the even mix as well. I do believe it's been a tougher start. Xander Schauffele and Scotty Scheffler all even through 5 holes. If you've seen the videos from Quail Hollow of the rough, I mean, if you hit it not in the fairway and you're in the rough, good luck. Bring your weed eater. I mean, the grass has got to be 6 inches deep. I mean, it is and thick. They were doing this deal where they were tossing balls out into the rough. On this social media video I saw, they threw the ball at the rough, gone. You didn't even see it. It's just gone. Good luck getting out of the rough. So you got to stay in the fairways. But it is a bomber's paradise, as we talked about with Riley Gates yesterday. So if you can keep in the fairway and hit it long, you could have some low scores. But if you're in the rough or any inaccuracy off the tee, look out. Could be a tough day. That does it for our program. Thanks to Nick Athen. Thanks, as always, to you, the listener, for making our show possible. We're back again tomorrow in 23 hours. Hope you join us for our Friday edition of the Morning Blitz. We'll see you then.
KKCI, Goodland, Colby, Burlington, Rocket 102.